Hey everybody, it's Gypsy. Today I want to tell you about how I've been experimenting with making hand dipped taper candles. I love to just like, I get an idea in my head and I just start experimenting. So, how this one came about was last fall, I bought these two beautiful, fairly large candles. They come in the jars. And when I was done burning them, there was still a lot of wax left. And I don't like wasting things. One of my favorite sayings is waste not, want not. So I was trying to think, well, what should I do with all this wax? I mean, it smelled really good and everything. And I just didn't want to just throw it out. So I started thinking, well, when I build my little house, there's not going to be lights in there. Like I said, I'm using candles and hurricane lamps. So I thought, well, I may as well start, fooling around with tapered candles. So, what I did was I remelted this wax and I made them into tapered candles. And it has a nice smell scent. And it's an orange wax. To me, they look like carrots. Yeah, so I have a bunch of these. I still have more of this wax. I'm going to use it. So then I decided, well, I want other colors. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. One, I love candles. In like when you decorate your house, however, either with the seasons or just whatever your natural tastes are in decor, sometimes you want different colors. But finding different color taper candles are difficult. I used to be able to find more at Walmart other than white. I think I once found a sage color, which I really liked, but now that's not there. I think last time I looked, it was white and this kind of grayish color. So I started thinking, well, I want to add more candles. So when I was in Ohio over Christmas, I bought 8 pounds of beeswax and beeswax pellets. I like the pellets because they melt quickly. And I bought the ones that were bleached. Now, I don't know how they do it, if they bleach it or what, but they take the yellow color out, which I recommend if you're going to dye them, because I did start dyeing them. And this way, like when I'm decorating, I like to change things with the seasons. So I like different colors for different seasons, etc. And then, when I get my house, I'm going to set my altar back up. I would want the colors to match the season. Okay. Another reason is when I do spells, and I am a green witch. I work with herbs and stuff mostly. But when I do spells, I like to, usually use a candle, colors, and herbs. So I like for them to match up with what my intention is. Okay, so I need different color candles. Well, it's hard to find those. I have found people online who make them. The problem is, or last time I did that, I lived in Arizona, and it was like, I don't know, late winter, early spring. When they got to me, they were melted. So I thought, well, I'm going to start making my own, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. So I'm going to tell you how I have been making these candles, okay? Now, first, what I did was I got some Arizona tea cans, and when they were empty, I cut the lid off. Now, most of the time, I could leave the rim on so I don't get cut or anything. I have two I couldn't do that with, and they're all rough. It's not easy. Now, the reason I tried another can, I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't quite tall and thin enough. Okay, so what I did was I first started with just plain, I don't know if you could see in here, white beeswax. I didn't dye them. All right, so I started playing around with that. Now, at first, it was the recycled wax that I was practicing with. They were coming out all like funky, all weird looking. Couldn't figure out why. So I think I figured out, one, I needed a weight on the bottom of my wick. And two, in between dips, you have to make sure that your wax on the wick is cool enough. It doesn't have to be like totally ice cold, but let it dry enough that to the touch, it's not going to come off on your hands. It's totally dry. So here's what I did first. I had to think of something I could hang the wick from. Well, I've been constructing all this stuff in my yard. I had a 2x2 that happened to have a screw in it I couldn't get out. So I just hung my wick from here. Now, what I am using for a wick is very simple. When I was back in my day, when I was young, we used to call this kitchen cotton. I think now they just call it cotton yarn. It's 100% cotton. It's on the thinner side. I wish I kept the label. I can't remember what they call it now. But for people who are old like me, I hope there's enough light in here. It's a dark day today. We're having a winter storm. I want to see what happens if I put this light on. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so this is just, and I just got the lightest color I could find. They didn't have white, so I went with the blue. Then what I did for a weight, these are 3 metal washers that I put in the bottom. Okay, so then I just melted my beeswax in here. Now, I filled it all the way up. When you fill it all the way to the top, after your beeswax melts, you end up more with your wax down here, like halfway, which has been working okay for me. Sometimes I'll add more. Well, you have to because you do run it. It starts getting low, so you have to keep adding to it. But sometimes, like right away, I'll add more if I want a longer candle. So then what I do, I would say after 3 or 4 dips, I cut the washers off. And then you just have the candle, okay? Because otherwise, you keep doing that, you're going to have a weird shaped candle at the bottom. See, after about 3 or 4, sometimes 5, I will cut this off, okay? And then I just keep dipping. Now, I dip until I get one of my candle holders, this one. And when it fits in here is when I'm done. It's as easy as that. So, I very simply, my next color I did was white. Okay. Then I decided I wanted to dye them, but I wanted to use natural dyes. So I started experimenting with spices. And that worked out really good. I love it. The first one I did, I told you guys that I eat spirulina. So I have some, of course. I tried that first. And I came up with this color green. Now, naturally, if you wanted a lighter green, you put in less spirulina. I think, what did I put in here? Oh, let's see. Let me see. This is 3 teaspoons of spirulina to a full can of unmelted beeswax pellets in here. Okay, you want to make it lighter, you put in less. So that's how I really like the way it came out. Then this color I really love. Now this is a smaller candle. This would be something I would use when I'm doing a spell or something, or maybe decorating my altar. I don't know. Mostly a spell, because when you do a spell, you want to make sure make sure your intention is strong. It melts all the way down. So you want a smaller candle for that. Otherwise, you're going to be up all night waiting for your larger taper candle to melt. But anyways, I love this color. It's a bright yellow. So I'm going to be making larger ones of these, for I think this would be great in the summer to decorate, in the house. This is cumin. No, not cumin. I'm sorry. No, take that back. Turmeric. It's turmeric, believe it or not. I thought it was going to come out a brown color, but look at that gorgeous yellow. And I used, again, it ended up being a whole can of pellets in the tea can. And where is it? Yeah, 2 teaspoons of turmeric. It's 2 teaspoons. And I love it. Isn't it gorgeous? So let's see. So what I did next is I wanted to do black. Now this was a bit harder. I use activated charcoal. I dissolved that into my melted can of wax. And at first, what did I put in? So I got, again, 3 teaspoons. Yeah, 3 teaspoons, 4 teaspoons of activated charcoal in my wax. I came out with this very lovely gray. Now, always remember when you're hand dipping, it's not going to come out perfect. Okay, you're not going to have like one of these lovely, perfectly aligned candles you buy in the store. You know, they're done in a factory. These are done by hand. So this was for, just add gradually. Play around with it to get the color you want. Now, what I do, because you can't really tell the color in the tea can, I get a metal teaspoon and I dip it in there. And when it dries, now as these dry, they get darker. So when it's dry, I decide whether I like that shade or not and if I need to add more. So this was the gray. Then, I actually lost count of how much charcoal I put in to get the shade of black I wanted. So the black you really have to experiment with. The next thing I did, this is a naturally, it looks very similar to the recycled wax from last fall I used. This is a natto seed powder. If you want a lighter orange, you just put in a little bit less. This, what did I do? It was probably 3 or 4. Where's my annatto seed? That was 4 teaspoons of annatto seed. And that's how I did that. So the next thing I want to try is cinnamon. Now, by the way, the turmeric, because turmeric does have a stronger smell, I burned one to see if it had any aroma, and it didn't. So I don't know. I kind of hoped, I hope the cinnamon will, but I'm going to do one dyed with cinnamon. That's going to be my next one. And I want to do one with beetroot powder because I would like to try to get a pink and I would like to try to get a red. I would like to figure out how to naturally dye beeswax purple. I have not figured that one out yet. If any of you know anything about natural dyeing and could tell me what would give me a purple, please let me know in the comments below. So that's where I am with that. Now, when I get a bigger kitchen, I'm going to do a setup where I can dip more than just one candle at a time. I'm having a blast with this. It's a lot of fun. I do have some other ideas to do with tapered candles that I might experiment with later. If I do it and it works, I'll let you guys in on it. And who knows, maybe one day I will, be using these for barter. Maybe so. But possibly barter. I don't know. But I've just been having a blast. So if any of you guys even can think of another color for me to do, and you know what will bring out that color naturally, please let me know in the comments. I'm very excited about this. So yeah, anybody, I've never naturally dyed anything. I would like to get into naturally dyeing yarn and fabric. I do subscribe to a website where she knows how to do this, but she lives in a totally different climate than I do, so I have different plants around me. So I'm going to have to do, I have thistle, so I'm going to harvest some thistle this summer. I'm going to try dyeing with that and see what happens. But I've just been having a blast with this. So anybody who has any knowledge, you have any recommendations on how to dye my beeswax other colors, please let me know in the comments below. I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be and make it a joyful one.